Well, plenty going on, and I see that you and the guys are on the way to the country sometime in August for a bit of a promo trip.
August first week of August for
Yep.
a couple of shows and some doing as much promo as we can and getting involved, getting back down to Australia. We can't wait.
Well, big celebrations definitely in order because your new album is out now, Wildness. It has been 7 years in the making, and obviously there's been plenty of stuff that's been going on with your personal situation, which you've talked about in chats recently. I've seen over what you've been going through for the past few years. But before we get into this new album and the whole recording side of things, I wanted to know a little bit more about your writing process because you're an artist that loves to write for other artists, Taylor Swift, Ed Sheeran as well, part of many creative writing teams. How did they approach you for this, Gary? Did they just say, look, we love your work, we've heard your albums, we love your songwriting, we think you're fantastic, come and write for us? Or is it through friends of friends? Or
It's mostly through friends. I've had situations, quite a few situations where I've been set up by either a publishing company or something like that, or sort of more official kind of thing. But they tend not to bear too much fruit, to be honest. They tend not to work that well, I find, personally.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it's better if you have a relationship already with an artist, at least a passing relationship where you might, you might be fans of each other or something like that,
Yeah.
With Ed and Taylor, actually, I've known Ed since he was 19, so Ed knew Taylor really well, and Ed kind of introduced me and Taylor, and that's how that happened. And then obviously with Ed, we just over time just started to kind of work together. And actually Johnny McDade writes and produces with Ed more than I do. I don't produce, but I just write. But so Johnny and Ed's relationship has actually become very kind of symbiotic and close one, in terms
Mm-hmm.
of writing together. And I've done maybe 5 writing sessions with Ed, and some of them have ended up on an album, and maybe some in the future might end up in an album. Who knows? But it's one of those situations where I just enjoy working with him. So any opportunity I get, I jump at it because he's such a lot of fun to work with. It's so many ideas. They just sort of spill out, that he can have like 10 songs in an afternoon. It's kind of thrilling to watch.
I did read a quote from you saying that Ed just doesn't have the concept of writer's block ever.
Yeah, well, I don't, we've actually never talked about the subject, but it doesn't seem to be that the case. Anytime I've been in a room with him when we've been writing together, he's never short of an idea or 50.
Now, with this album, Wildness, which is out now, you've teamed up with producer Jack Knife Lee, and I was reading a great story about Jack and his love of LPs up on the wall. Talk us through the Nick Cave song that helped inspire this album.
Yeah, well, I had a long, speaking of writer's block, I had a long period of writer's block in this record, and we were listening to Nick Cave's most recent album, and the first track on that is a song called Jesus Alone, and we listened to it over and over again. It's myself and Jack Knife and Nathan, our guitar player, sitting in the studio. I just kept getting Garrett to put the song back on again. It is this meditative, heavy song, but a heavy subject that the bass just sort of reverberates. It's sort of, I think it actually changed my atomic structure. That song, listening to it over and over again, it actually vibrated through me. And I started to write, and Garrett and Nathan were like, we're just going to go and grab a sandwich and we'll be back in half an hour. And they came back in half an hour, and I'd written the song A Youth Written in Fire, which is on the album.
Mm-hmm.
And up to that point, I hadn't really had I used to write where I could write a song the length of time it took to sing the song. That was the kind of the how free, open, let go that I was. I would just be able to just sort of let it flow.
Yep.
And I hadn't found that in recent times when we were making the album. And that was the first time that I let go. When they came back half an hour later with their sandwiches, I had written the song and start to finish. And it's a song about it's a pretty heavy song about my alcoholism and the recovery from it. Well, so it's a positive song, really. But
Yeah.
and I have Nick Cave to thank for that, and for many other things. He's been an inspiration for many years. But yeah, that particular song is something that seemed to shake me from my torpor.
You've gone through plenty in the sort of the time between this album and the last album. Has it been hard to sort of revisit what you went through in terms of writing and putting it into this album?
No, not really. I'm so thrilled that it's out in the world. I'm so thrilled that we've finished it. I'm so excited for people to hear it. I'm delighted to talk about it. I'm happy that I survived it.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's so many positive things from this record. And I think it is an extraordinarily positive record. I didn't write a record where I was wallowing in any of these things. I wrote a record to try and understand the things that I was in and gather strength and positivity from them. And so I think I feel it's a very positive record, and hopefully other people will feel that too. I mean, they're going to feel what they feel, and that's exactly why you have no control over how people receive your music, and nor should you have any control over that. You know what I mean? Once it's out in the world, it doesn't belong to you anymore. But I do feel very, very happy that it is out.
Was it a big thrill getting back into the studio after the 7 years? It was sort of like a bit of a homecoming for you?
I think we were in and out of the studio over that time. 5 years over the 5 years we probably were in the studio for about 9 months. Until so the album maybe took about 9 months, which is still a long period of time to make an album, but not quite. 5 years doesn't really tell the story. That's not. We weren't constantly in the studio for 5 years, which would have been pretty intense. But so we sort of took 2 weeks or a month every now and again. We would go in. So there was no sort of point where we were like, right, now we'll start recording, because we already had been recording. And a lot of songs had kind of started. Life on Earth, for example, I started writing in 2013. So that song had a long gestation period.
Yep.
So it wasn't just as simple as the usual album recording process. If you write the songs, you set a date to record, you finish it, you put it out. This one lingered, shall we say.
So with the entirety of the album, from start to finish, from concept to completion, with all of your life and the journey that you've been through, that you've put into each track, is there one that's really stood out for you as a sort of vindication track for you, or just something that you've stepped back and went, I couldn't have been prouder of this track if I tried?
Yeah, well, I already mentioned Life on Earth there. Yeah, I think Life on Earth is a song for me. I think that's the best song I ever wrote. I think it's the best song we ever did. I'm as proud of that song as I've ever been. So yeah, I picked that one. Yep. But then again, I think the album as a whole is something I'm immensely proud of. I think it's the record that has sort of shaken all cobwebs away from my. I don't have to worry about ever having writer's block again.
Yeah.
In terms of, I may have writer's block again. That's something you can't defend against. But I know how to move through it now. I'm not going to panic about it. I know that you just have to graft your way through it, and that's something that you learn by experiencing. So you don't need to be afraid of it.
That is fantastic. Well, Gary, it's been an absolute pleasure catching up with you tonight. Like we said, you're going to be here in Australia in early August, promoting the new album and just catching up with all your Australian fans, of which there are absolutely plenty. Congratulations on Wildness being out there and getting back into things, and it's been awesome to catch up with you here at The Greatest Years in Music.
Thank you very much. Cheers, man.